Welcome to the video essay on Nimona. So in a world full of monsters and trifling creatures all about trying to snip at your toes and grab your toenails, monsters 100 feet high, able to crush buildings and destroy people with a single blink of an eye. Safe to say this movie tackles and jumps into the world of mystical creatures and monsters. The movie starts us off giving us a little history lesson within this world of Nimona. We learn about the ancient time when a monster brought onslaught onto the land and destroyed the lives of many, and it was because of a singular hero that monster was defeated, and her name was Glorith. Now this movie takes place 1,000 years later, after Glorith had made it her mission to make sure that these monsters could never rule upon the humans anymore, to create a barrier and protect the land against these trifling beasts. And through these 1,000 years her bloodline has been dealt with the duty of taking care of society and maintaining that quest to uphold and maintain the liberty, freedom and safety of the people. Or at least that's according to the so-called legends, but how true are the legends really? You see, in this movie we delve through topics of loneliness, isolation, the feeling of being surrounded by so many people yet being so alone, being misunderstood, being judged for who you are, the way you look, what you were born as, what you don't have control over. Now join me as we journey through this story and we begin to see things through the perspective of a so-called monster. I'd like to introduce you to Nimona. So you see, Nimona's not like the rest. She's not like everyone. She's different. She's not like the other girls. She's essentially a bloody shapeshifter and can shift into all sorts of animals and creatures and things. Send her to the bloody Justice League, Avengers, somewhere. She's got powers. But you see, in this world, her differences make her a target because people are afraid. They're afraid because of the things they've been told, the lies they've been fed. They're afraid because they don't see the girl that is Nimona. All they see is a monster. So in the current day of this universe, of this world, it's sort of weird because essentially speaking, this is a future where metal is still very much in fashion. People are dripped out, and I'm not talking about chains. You've got swords with knights, and right next to them you've got a bloody Cybertruck. So earlier on we're introduced to one of the main characters of the movie, Ballister, and oh my god, is he a G. He's amazing, he's cool, and he's a hard-working motherfucker. And I really love the trajectory of the storyline with him and his companionship / friendship with Nimona. Ballister is a knight and he's one of high honor, one that has proven himself to be the best amongst all. Essentially he's pretty kick-ass. But if only that were the full truth. Because here's the thing, Ballister was meant to be knighted as a knight, but unfortunately before the ceremony went through, tragedy struck and Ballister had now become a target. You see, Ballister wasn't like his fellow brothers in arms, or should I say brothers in swords. Ballister was initially a commoner when he was a child, but Your Majesty saw something in Ballister that she could not ignore. She saw a heart of a hero, someone who is willing to do what it takes to protect those in need. But the thing is, at that time it wasn't acceptable, it wasn't normal for a commoner to train to become a knight. That wasn't part of the deal, no. The only people that could become knights were people of noble heritage. But this was something Your Majesty wanted to change. And for the first time ever, a commoner had a chance to become a knight. And despite consistently proving himself to be worthy of the title of a future knight, proving himself to be a diligent fighter, proving himself to be willing to hold and protect the standards of the society that so clearly rejects him, despite all his hard work and the fact that he's fought an uphill battle to get to where he currently is, there are many of those that still don't accept him because he is not of said noble heritage. And as of right now, all they think of him is a commoner, forever undeserving. Or at least that's definitely his main fear. And despite deep down knowing the truth of the situation, knowing that he does deserve what he's worked hard for, those doubts will always creep in. Am I good enough? Meet Ambrosius Gordonloin. By the way, that name is ridiculously amazing. Ambrosius is a character who shares a relationship with Ballister, and it's more than just a friendship. Probably the only person that's actually treated Ballister with any form of respect and care and compassion. And Ambrosius is not just of any noble heritage, oh no, he is special because his heritage dates all the way back directly to the hero herself who stopped the evil monster 1,000 years prior. And people are excited to see what he has in store. So anyways, before this knighting, Ambrosius is there. He's trying to cheer Ballister up because he can see that Ballister is all in his head.
Will the kingdom accept this knight, who might not be right?
So when the time comes and Ballister is about to be knighted, everything seems to go through. The queen looks at him, tells the crowd that he is deserving of this, that from now on anybody in the crowd had the possibility to become a knight. You didn't have to be of noble heritage. This was the beginning of something new. This was a new age. The queen knights him. The sword is given back to Ballister, a sword that Ballister believes to be his, but something goes tragically wrong as Ballister accepts and is grateful for this knighthood, and as the crowd actually accepts him, as the crowd roars and begins to clap, and Ballister's heart wells up and swells with joy and happiness because he feels accepted. The bottom of the sword opens up as it's placed in Ballister's hand, and within the blink of an eye, before he could do anything, before he knew what was going on, a laser shoots right out of it, hitting the queen and killing her. And in that moment, as such tragedy had just struck, Ambrosius, who he stood to his right, does what he's trained to do and disarms Ballister. I mean, quite literally, he chops off his arm. He chops it off in one swell swoop. Now the entire kingdom thinks Ballister just assassinated the queen. So Ballister has to run. He's running for his life. He's trying to get away. He has been framed. He doesn't know how. He doesn't know when. Was it when his sword was given to him? There are a lot of questions, but don't worry. Those questions will be answered. So now essentially the entire world is against, but there is a girl out there. She sees what's going on, the hatred surrounding Ballister, and she's familiar with this emotion. She's familiar with feeling rejected, not being wanted around, being seen as something she's not, being trapped in a world that refuses to see her for who she is.
Yeah, sick arm!
The movie initially tries to portray her as some sort of ambitious villain, or she tries to portray herself as this villain who's just hungry to destroy and demolish anything and everything in sight. But you see, Nimona had simply given into her supposed role. The role that society had forced and pushed her into. Because in the earlier stages of this movie, despite her clear urge to be some sort of villainess, you can tell there is more there, and there is a kindness there. There is a genuineness. And it's rather evident this is someone who has been hurt and made to feel less than, someone who was simply given up on being accepted. Or at least it's very clear that's where her mindset currently is. If nobody will accept her, maybe this guy who everybody hates in the whole entire kingdom will accept her. So she goes to find Ballister, because surely she'll now have a new best friend, and hey, she could be his sidekick. She somehow ends up finding him, and he's alone in this dark abandoned place that looks like an absolute chateau. Ballister hears a knock on the door. He goes to check, there's no one there. Okay, weird. He closes the door, and oh, she somehow made it in, and she's like, haha, I'm here to be your sidekick.
The point is, whatever your dark heart desires, boss, your sidekick has arrived.
I don't need a sidekick.
Every villain needs a sidekick.
Yep, that's all she wants. She wants to be his sidekick. She too, like the rest of the Empire, had seen the news, what he did to the Queen. He truly was a villain, at least he was in her eyes at that point. Let's fucking team up. Now, of course, we know that Ballister didn't do this, and he's fed up and tired with all these accusations of something he didn't do. He's an innocent man, and he's been framed. Oh yeah, it's within their first introduction with each other that we really start to see that there's something going on with this woman. She's definitely not quote-unquote normal. She puts her hand on a bloody spinning saw, and the saw stops. She seems to be bloody teleporting from place to place. She might give Jean Grey a run for her money. Safe to say there's something very mystical going on here. But right now, Ballister doesn't have time to deal with this. He needs to go back to the castle. He needs to tell them that he's innocent. He can't let all the hard work he's put in be for nothing, to have his entire image absolutely destroyed for something he didn't do. He basically immediately gets thrown into jail. Here you go, mate, straight behind the bars. Yeah, it doesn't look too good. Nobody wants to hear him out. Nimona was right. But of course, as I said before, she's all too familiar with this. Once the people had a concrete image of who they believed Ballister now was, there was no second chances. Ballister was now a monster, an outcast, a villain. And of course, it doesn't help that people literally saw it with their own eyes. The director, someone who had seen Ballister grow and become the man that he now is, came by to let Ballister know about her disappointment and anger because of what she believes he did. And oh boy, did this sneaky bitch really trick me. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I call an A+++ manipulator. But before we really get into what role she has to play in all of this, we'll progress with the story for now. But guess who's there? Nimona, 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 Nimona. Sorry. Nimona gives Ballister an option. Stay in this cell and rot away and die and possibly be tortured to death, and who knows what they're gonna do to you for killing the bloody queen. Or she can help him escape and they can both bring about a solution to figuring out who framed him for this vicious act. So he doesn't really have many options, so he decides, you know what, yeah, break me out of here please, I don't want to wither away and die. What I do find funny is that before they do end up meeting all these guards who are now going to lead them on a Scooby-Doo type chase, as they scurry away trying to escape capture, it's quite humorous how Ballister is trying to quietly sneak away, tiptoeing, trying to make sure that nobody hears them so they can make their escape. And then you've got Nimona right behind him, tipping everything over. She doesn't give an absolute fuck. After all, they're just going to see her as a monster anyways. Okay, things are about to get a little bit freaky. No, did he? And she asks him, pleads with him to please promise not to freak out. And he says, okay, don't worry, I won't freak out at all, I promise. Even when you see the bloody horns. What do you mean horns? She is essentially a shapeshifter and can turn into any and everything she bloody wants. She's indestructible, she's powerful, and she's not one to be messed with. And just like that, they bust through the door. Ballister on her back as she's a rhino, and she turns into a bear, and she turns into a whale, and all these different creatures. And the guards have nothing they can do because they can't stop her. She's unstoppable. She's a beast. Ballister comes face to face with Ambrosius, and there truly is a profundity and depth of sadness and feeling of betrayal from Ambrosius, because to him now everything was a lie. He doesn't know what we know, and you can see that breadth of sadness swallow him whole. And Ballister sees this as well. He knows how it looks, he knows what people think. He ferociously wants to clear his name so people don't think of him as this monster anymore, so he can gain the trust back of the people he cares about. So anyways, they wind up escaping after plowing through the entire castle and Nimona destroying practically everything in sight. This has been a huge attack on the castle. You bet your sweet ass the news is going to be reporting this, and oh boy does it just make him look worse. But you see, now that Ballister has seen what Nimona is capable of, he has a lot of questions, and in fact he's rather scared. This isn't normal after all, so he doesn't know what to think. To him, what he's just witnessed is that of a monster. That's what he's been taught, that's what he knows. So should he really be trusting Nimona? Is she really there to help him? Does she have bad intentions? I mean, she did just save him after all, and he has questions. But you see, Nimona is tired. She's fed up with having to justify her existence. She's fed up with always being called a monster. I mean, Ballister literally called her that while looking for his sword. He was trying to skewer her.
Do not call me that.
But he composes himself, obviously knowing that he couldn't do anything against Nimona because she'd tear him apart, and he just wants to know, what exactly is she? And she tells him, I'm Nimona. That's who I am. Now at this point he's wondering why on earth she's even helping him, and she's just very upfront with him and tells him she's bored. She had nothing else to do, and she thought that since everyone else hated him too, this was something they could bond over. She thought she'd have someone who understood what it was like to be her. Well, for now he doesn't have any more questions. There's a understanding within the two of them. Now he sets his mind to find out exactly what is going on. And what they must do is find the squire, because the squire is the person who gave him the sword. The sword that killed the queen. So using any sort of logic, it's safe to say he likely had something to do with it, or at least knows something that happened. So off they go on their adventure to figure out exactly what happened and to prove the innocence of Ballister. But back to the castle that had been absolutely demolished and destroyed by Nimona and Ballister, the director gathers the troops of knights and emboldens them, telling them that this was the biggest attack that had happened in many, many years. And they needed to do whatever it took to protect the kingdom, to find these monsters and bring them to justice. This was the time. And she enlists the duty of finding out exactly where these people were to Ambrosius. So we go through a compilation of shenanigans as they try to make the way to find this person that they're looking for, to figure out what role he had in this setup. But things aren't straightforward. There are guards everywhere, cameras are on them at all times, they have to go in disguise. Nimona has to cause distractions, he has to move sneakily, there's a lot of ups and downs and things are just not straightforward. But anyways, later they get to where they need to go to, the location where they can find the person who gave Ballister the sword. But one thing they don't know yet is that Ambrosius is hot on their bloody tail, and before they're able to leave the train that they had snuck onto, Ambrosius and the knights are waiting right outside for them. Okay, I guess it's time to hide. It's too late. You've got to do something. Once again, Ballister and Ambrosius are face to face. Awkward. But as they get into this train, oh no, what do you know, there's a huge bloody crater in the ceiling of the train. A metal train. How did that happen? What is this girl made of? What is she able to do? I do want to quickly mention the scene whilst they were in the train, and Ballister is trying to figure out a bit more about her, why she is the way she is, why she is different. And she makes up a story about how she was once a little girl and she found a well and found a coin and then she made it hug. It was essentially just a lie, letting him know that she was tired of his small-minded question. I mean, in all honesty, he is just trying to understand her. Of course, this is something new to him, something that he's never seen, something that's very mystical and crazy and wild. She can turn into different creatures and animals and anything. She can shapeshift. But it's evident that she just doesn't want to be known or seen for her differences and wants to be seen for her. Wants to be seen as Nimona. The squire had been located, so now they just needed to figure out a way to get to him and ask him the question. How on earth were they going to do this? Don't worry, Nimona just shapeshifts into a little child and goes up to him like, "Hello, sir. Help me find my mommy and my daddy." She's about as unhinged as that. It's terrifying. Scares him half to death. Ballister ends up stealing a bloody car, so now he's officially a criminal. They end up stuffing him into the trunk. Okay, that's another charge right there, kidnapping. And the two of them manage to whisk away and escape the onslaught of knights that were chasing them and shooting arrows at them like, oh my god. Is the person in the trunk okay? There's about a bazillion arrows there. Are you sure he's not dead? They end up driving to a dark, creepy alleyway to ask him the questions that need answers. And then we learn exactly what happened. You see, the squire had been designated the responsibility of giving the sword to Ballister. But the squire also happens to be quite a big fan of Ballister, so before he had to go through with that duty of giving Ballister the sword, he went to the room where the armor of Ballister was placed, and guess what, he tried it on and he was recording himself. This brother really thinks he's going to become TikTok famous. In the process of doing that, he's able to capture some evidence. Because as he tries this costume on, he hears someone coming and he quickly hides away. He's still like a statue. And what would you know? It's the bloody director, and she changes the sword for another. Wow. What a skanky frickin' bitch. The nerve of her to shame Ballister knowing what she did. It's absolutely sickening. The gaslighting is atrocious. It was all part of her plan, but why? Why did she do this? That's what Ballister wants to know now, because he's shocked. He's confused. His mind is boggled. It's all over the place. It's like mashed potatoes. What did he possibly do to her to deserve any such treachery? But you see, the thing is, Nimona's now thinking about the bigger picture. The whole system could be rigged. If she's capable of doing this to you, of killing the queen, for whatever reason, you should be questioning everything. What is beyond the wall? You don't even know. You've been told, but do you know? Have you seen? Have you seen for yourself? Or do you just believe absolutely everything that's been told to you? Like how he is a murderous, evil villain, and how everybody believes that she is a monster. But it's going to take a lot more than that, because his beliefs are so deep-seated into his heart and his mind. His faith in the order cannot be overturned. So Nimona succumbs to his wishes, and they venture out to put an end to this bombardment of fury that had been placed upon them because of something that he never even did. This would be big, Ballister says, not just for him, but also for Nimona. I guess their friendship is really setting stone. There's likely a recognition of her old self in Ballister. She sees the hope he has in humanity, sees the hope he has in the people, hope that she has long since lost. By the way, I do want to mention there was this really cute moment between Ballister and Nimona. This was right after they'd escaped the knights who were chasing them, and they were in a dark alleyway right before they found out exactly what the director had to do with all of this. Essentially, Nimona had been shot in the leg, but hey, she just doesn't feel it because she's just that OP. And Ballister is of course slightly concerned about this, so he's like, hey girl, are you okay? You've got a bloody arrow in your leg. And she's just like, oh, I didn't notice. So he's carefully and cautiously trying to take this arrow out, and I mean, he just pulls it out, anticipating that she'd scream, but like I said, she's absolutely OP. You could really see this atmosphere of camaraderie between the two of them, and it was honestly really wholesome to see from the subtle expressions that Nimona makes. In this moment, she feels cared for. She feels like, hey, somebody actually gives a shit about me. And Ballister does. As much as Nimona may annoy him, he's grown to care about her. And slowly, his preconceived notions about what she is and her differences are starting to wither away. It's within this moment that Ballister then asks again what it's like to be her, how it feels to transform, but he quickly corrects himself, thinking that, hey, Nimona told me to stop asking these type of small-minded questions. However, in this moment, it's different. Nimona is able to observe that his questions aren't coming from a place of judgment, a place of fear, or a place of disgust. They're coming from a genuine, authentic place to simply learn about who she is as a character, as a person. There is no judgment, there is no disgust, there is no hatred. It's just one friend wanting to get to know another friend. And Nimona in this moment is able to extrapolate that, so she feels confident in letting him know what exactly it feels like to transform into all these different types of things. It's like an itch. And when she doesn't do it, she doesn't feel like herself, like that feeling right before a sneeze. Once she transforms, she feels free. But anyways, moving forward, Ballister now has this phone that has proof, evidence of what the director bloody did. The conniving bitch she is. So you see, later Nimona and Ballister end up finding Ambrosius and the director. Ballister now has proof and he's trying to persuade Ambrosius to believe him. And just before he's able to whip out his phone to show the video to Ambrosius and everybody else, the phone gets shot out of his hand. Yes, unfortunately he didn't make a copy of the video. That's an amateur mistake. But despite this, Ballister still hopes that deep down, Ambrosius knows that he's innocent, that he wouldn't ever think to do something like this, that Ambrosius knew him, knew that he wasn't lying. But at the end of the day, Ambrosius saw what he saw, and the pressure was upon him from the director to absolutely everyone else gazing at him, waiting for him to fulfill his duty of capturing Ballister and this girl. So as Ballister looks at him longingly, hoping that he will be believed, Ambrosius lifts up his sword and his choice is made. And just like that, the final piece in Ballister's heart has been broken, fragmented and scattered all over the ground. Perhaps Nimona was right all along. Everybody just sees him as a villain and there's nothing he could do. This was now forever his destiny. And the director, the spiteful bitch, just stands there after she beguiles the entire population into believing that it was Ballister that is the cause of all this disaster. So yeah, he just doesn't care anymore. You know what, Nimona? Fuck all these people. Let's bloody get out of here. And in that moment, these two were truly the dynamic duo. They fought and they fought hard, but the nights, they just seemed to keep on coming. They were never ending. In the midst of all this fighting, Nimona sees that Ballister is in trouble. He's about to get defeated by all these bloody knights. They're all over him like a bunch of insects. So she transforms into this mighty big dragon and she goes to save him. And in the process, there is a child on the street. And this child is terrified, she's scared. So Nimona shapeshifts into a child herself and she tries to calm the child down, letting her know that there's nothing to be afraid of, that she wasn't going to hurt her, but it was too late. The child only saw her as a monster. The child sees a sword on the floor, it picks it up, looks at her with absolute dismay and disgust. And just like that, in that split second, Nimona felt an insurmountable amount of pain, an insurmountable amount of loneliness, isolated in a world full of people. That no matter what she does, she will always be seen as different, always looked at as different, always looked at as a monster. And this brings back truly traumatic memories from the past, her past that we will get into. You can practically see her heart throbbing through her chest. That truly was a torturous flicker in time. But anyways, they wind up escaping. When they get back home, Nimona lets it out. She's angry, she's frustrated, she's absolutely agitated and distraught. What's the point of trying to show people that I'm not what they think I am? They're only going to believe what they want to believe, what they've been told, what they've been brainwashed to believe. What's the point of it all? And at this very moment, you really see the growth and advancement of Ballister's feeling and emotional attachment towards Nimona, because he can see her pain, he feels her pain, he understands, and he's able to fully comprehend the depth of her struggles. So hey, nobody likes him, everybody thinks he's a monster, everybody thinks she's a monster. Fuck it, let's just get out of here, Nimona. Nobody likes us, so why should we bother? Let's travel beyond the walls, let's live our own lives and do whatever we want. Fuck the system, we've got each other. Because you were right, Nimona. Once they see you as a villain, That's all they'll ever see you as. But hearing what Ballister was saying, and Nimona seeing herself, the growth in his character from not trusting her, from being scared of her, being fearful of her differences, to now actually caring and being sympathetic and wanting to be around her, she determined that that was not in fact the best way to go about things. Because you, Ballister, you changed how you saw me. We have to prove our innocence. We have to uncover and divulge the lies laid out by the director. Nimona sneaks into the castle. She's disguised as Ambrosius, and she goes to the director asking her, why? Why did Ballister say that it was you that killed the queen, that it was you that framed him? Out of everyone he could have mentioned, he mentioned you. Why? Now this was of course done to pluck a confession out of the director, as Ballister stood sneakily outside recording the entire thing, and the director falls for it. She says absolutely everything that's needed to finally exonerate these two, and expose her for the lying fraud she is. So now they have the evidence, and the director is in a bit of a shitty situation. Oh, but she's the master manipulator. She'll find a way to get around this. But as of right now, Nimona and Ballister have what they need. They upload this immediately to the net, to their version of YouTube, whatever the frick it's called. And it's getting views. It's getting a lot of views. Holy shit, they're going to be on the partner program anytime soon. As the views steadily grow and these two characters are converging together, their hearts melding together to become one in the cutest, most awesome friendship you'll ever see, the authenticity within this friendship becomes unmistakable. And these guys are having a fun time, they're dancing, they're doing all sorts of shit. They're really like a family. And seeing this moment honestly particularly made me happy after hearing the turmoil that Nimona was in. Because after escaping the castle where that little girl looked at her with absolute disgust, she opened up to Ballister how she doesn't know what is worse, the fact that people want to drive a sword right through her heart, or sometimes she just wants to let them. And it's in that moment and that statement that you really feel and understand the gravity of the situation and what she's gone through. And despite the happy face she always tries to put on, despite the outgoing nature that we know her for, there is so much turmoil going on, occurring in her head. Much that the eyes can't see, and that's often how it is. Sometimes it's the people that put on the happiest faces that try and make people laugh that are the saddest, that are going through the hardest times. The people that don't want to share or are scared to unload their burdens upon other people. So they go on life holding the cumbersome weight of their struggles and hardships without having a means to express themselves or a shoulder to cry on. So seeing Nimona and Ballister so happy in this moment makes me as the viewer, as the watcher, happy. Because I've connected with both these characters, and the way they've related and bonded together is just heartwarming to see. Anyways, later on in the day, Nimona has gone to sleep, Ballister has tucked her in. I do find it quite funny, it almost feels like a father-daughter relationship, but we'll soon find out that Nimona is a lot older than she looks. Anywho, Ballister gets a message from Ambrosius whilst Nimona is asleep, and he sneaks out to go and discuss with Ambrosius. Ambrosius wants to talk because Ambrosius actually now believes that he's innocent, but not because of the video that exposed the director for what she did. No. The director, once again using her masterful skills of manipulation, has convinced everyone that was simply Nimona disguised as her, saying all those things. He pulls out some sort of ancient scroll supposedly showing Nimona ruling and destroying the world or some shit. The director had unveiled her motive. She did all of this because she believed so greatly that the Queen's actions of letting someone who is not of noble blood into the world of knighthood to be knighted as a knight was a grave mistake and would only bring destruction. The destruction of the beasts, of the monsters. The monster that Glorith fought to destroy 1,000 years prior. Ballister doesn't know what to think. His mind, he's battling within himself. All that he grew up thinking, all that he was taught is battling with the fact that he now knows this person. He now knows Nimona, and they've gotten close. There's a friendship, there's a bond. He cares for her and he sees her as genuine, he sees her. But has this all been a lie? Has this all been a plan from the beginning? Has she somehow orchestrated all of this from the very beginning, all because she didn't want to be bored, all because she needed someone else that was hated by everyone so she wasn't so alone? His mind was battling itself. He storms out of the bar where he met up with Ambrosius, unsure what to even think. Later getting home, Nimona had just been getting up at that point, and she sees that there's something wrong. Why does he look so upset? Why is he wearing a coat? Where did he go? And Ballister starts to ask questions. Ballister starts to unload his fears. And has he been tricked all along? Is she really the villain? Is the director really innocent? I mean, truthfully, he knows what the right answer is, but his mind had been molded for so many years. Part of him was still clinging on to what he once knew, despite knowing for a fact that things weren't as they seemed. This whole conversation was absolutely heart-wrenching for Nimona. She was trying to understand what was going on. Everything was going so perfectly just not long ago before she fell asleep. And now she's awake and everything seems to be crumbling, plummeting down into a pit of nothingness. What happened? She's had enough of this. And this argument turns bitter, with Nimona daring him to call her a monster. And as she steps closer, Ballister's hand reaches towards the hilt of his sword. And just that moment alone was enough to truly shatter the trust that Nimona had. She thought she finally found someone who cared, someone who she could trust, someone who believed in her, someone she could believe in. And once again, her heart has been broken. And it's just at that moment that knights come banging at the door, which doesn't look very good because it now looks like Ballister set her up, but I think it's just a case that he was followed. Yeah. So she goes sprinting out, trying her best to escape, running and running and running as far as possible, trying to get away from this whole situation. Everything has been a lie. I guess he didn't care after all. And this is where we see her backstory, where her backstory unfolds. We are taking 1,000 years back. Yeah, she's that old. Who knows, she might be way older than that too. And this was in the time of Glorith, the supposed hero who took down the monster and saved the people. And it shows them both as children. Well, for all I know, she could have just been shapeshifting. Who knows how old she actually is, like I said. But they were friends. Glorith initially accepted her, really highlighting and bringing attention to the capacity of love and understanding and the innocence and purity, all before the interjections of the world that can easily corrupt the minds of people. Teachings taught from spite, wickedness, discrimination, all these things that the world puts upon us. Our minds brainwashed in all sorts of ways and all sorts of categories. Nimona and Glorith were close, they were friends, they were best of friends, but the adults in the village at the time, they saw nothing but a danger, they saw nothing but something who was different, a monster. They beat her, they prodded at her, they tried to set her on fire. Nimona was desperately trying to defend herself. The whole village turns to flames due to the actions of the bloody villagers. But now Glorith, with this attack of information from the people around her, starts to question if Nimona is actually a monster. And not only that, because Nimona is trying to bloody defend herself, Glorith's whole village is now on bloody fire, but it wasn't Nimona's fault. Essentially, the situation comes to a drop of a moment. Glorith was to listen to her family, listen to what she was being told, listen to what she was being taught. She sees the destruction behind her, the fire roaring all around her. She picks up the sword on the floor, pointing it at Nimona, telling her to go back to the bloody shadows from whence she came. And it's with knowing this that you can really understand how impactful that scene was when the little girl did something similar to her not too long ago. That sense of deep emotional trauma whizzing its way all through her mind, coating her body with pain and agony. She tries to hide the pain, she tries to hide the sadness. It's in this moment and remembering this pain with everything that had just happened, Ballister now abandoning her as well. With 1,000 years of loneliness, betrayal, emptiness in this world, trying to find fulfillment but forever being alone, she simply snaps. This has to end. She can't take it anymore. The manifestation of the darkness and pain in her heart exploding into this physical corporeal form. She's now like a gazillion feet high, God knows how wide. She's absolutely terrifying. She has now become the physical manifestation of the monster everybody seems to see her as. And she wants to put an end to it all. Of course, the troops of knights are coming to try and put an end to her, not knowing that she wants to, unfortunately, put an end to herself. Because in this moment, as she stood towering above the city, she walks towards the huge statue of Glorith with the sword sticking out, opens up her heart to it, and she's ready to say goodbye. She's ready to let go. She feels like she truly has nothing else. And just as she's about to put an end to it all, just as that sword is about to pierce through her heart, her eyes closed, head tilted upwards, Ballister is there, his metal arm pressed against her chest, pleading with her not to do this, apologizing for everything, affirming to her that he understands her, he cares about her, that he sees her. And that's all she really ever wanted to hear. And in that very twinkle in time, that very moment, there was an unyielding feeling of understanding, of love, of compassion. And it was beautiful. But of course, the absolutely disgusting little bitchy bastard, the director has to come and ruin it, because she still has the bloody temerity to try and destroy Nimona. Lady, your time is up. Everybody just saw what on earth happened. Everything was all projected onto these big bloody cinema screens for the entire empire to see. And even the people were moved by the showcase of love and compassion between Nimona and Ballister. But no, the director doesn't care. She has a mission, and in her mind, she needs to destroy Nimona, because Nimona is the thing that will bring forth the destruction. It's with that all-encompassing mindset of hers, that toxic, malevolent mental process that she's taken herself through, that has led to this situation. The irony of her thinking that Nimona would be the thing to bring forth destruction upon the kingdom, when in fact that ripple, the cause of destruction she feared so much that would be brought by Nimona, was in fact herself. She is her own worst fear, bringing forth this truly nightmarish circumstance birthed by her discriminatory beliefs and mindset. After everything, she still fails to see and comprehend that she is the monster. Not Nimona, not Ballister, her. But she's blinded by this mission, she's blinded by her ignorance, too blinded to be able to see that she is the source of all this chaos. So despite even the knights trying to stop the director now, she refuses to go down without a fight. Now truly and openly showing her colors, taking down the knights. Caring very little about who she hurts or takes out. Her mind solely fixated on trying to remove what she believes to be the problem, trying to remove Nimona. She gets in her ship, powers it up, and is ready to blast through Nimona. But if she was to succeed with her newfound plan, she would destroy and kill the thousands of people all around. At this point, the director feels like she's got nothing to lose. Her sights are so figuratively impaired, she's unable to see the disaster she is about to unfold, she is about to cause. But Nimona can't let this happen. Because you know why? Nimona cares. Nimona is a good person. Despite how much she claims she wants to be the sidekick of a supervillain and all this, she cares. She's compassionate. She loves. She doesn't truly want people to hurt. She is a victim of a society that has done nothing but hate and ridicule her for 1,000 years. And even after 1,000 years, 1,000 years, she still retains her compassion. She still retains her kindness. So she knows she can't let the director hurt all these people in the process of trying to hurt Nimona. So Nimona makes the most heroic, humble, selfless sacrifice, soaring into the sky, taking the form of a majestic bird, flying right towards this ship that was about to laser through and cause nothing but destruction. This was her final hurrah. If she wants to go out, she'd go out a hero. And it would be clear as day for everybody to see. And bang, Nimona clashes with the ship, with the director inside. There's a huge explosion and a huge crater on the wall surrounding the city. And for the first time in a very long time, people are able to see the outside of these walls. And it's not like they were taught to believe. It was beautiful, serene. There were no monsters about. And thus the change has begun. Ballister shortly comes looking for Nimona, hoping to find her as the rubble clears, but Nimona's nowhere to be found. All that can be seen, all that can be felt, are the glittering particles of dust falling from the sky. Her kindness and her light scattered all throughout the land. And that was it. The director was no more, and it seemed Nimona was no more as well. This movie truly sheds light and makes you question and think about how you yourself as an individual see other people. It makes you question the teachings you've been taught through your childhood and leads you to ask yourself if you've ever challenged your beliefs, if you've ever challenged your thought processes, or your beliefs, truly your beliefs through learning and educating yourself, or does everything you believe to be true simply stem from what other people have told you without taking time to challenge some of those things and try to see where your mind truly lies? The movie casts a light on the seemingly profound nature and fear human beings have to change, have to difference, have to things that they may perhaps not deem as normal. A fear that leads to judgment and hatred without actually taking time to try and understand what is actually in front of you with genuine intention and authenticity, without immediately ostracizing what you believe to be different, the difference that scares you, the difference that makes you uncomfortable. How much work do you actually put into challenging yourself and challenging your beliefs and making sure those beliefs you do have come from a well-educated and thought-out process. The movie tackles the feeling of vacancy of self, reminding me of that saying, being alone in a room full of people, being blacklisted from society, almost feeling as if you're being spaghettified in a black hole, constantly being sucked in, trying ever so hard to escape, but it feels impossible. And that desperate, despondent feeling leading to all sorts of unimaginably dark thoughts. Thoughts that just make you question it all. But the movie also sheds a light on the fact that there is a better way to deal with things. The fact that no matter how dark and wicked and cruel humanity may seem, there is still goodness out there. There are people who do care, people who do love you, people who are compassionate, people who do understand your feelings, people who can relate to you. And that no matter how dark and futile it may all seem, that in the end, everything will be okay. And other people aside, what truly matters is how you view yourself and understanding and comprehending the fact that the most important thing is how you see yourself. Because even those who do have an abundance of friends, an abundance of loved ones, and an abundance of people who would do anything for them, if they are unhappy and don't have that love and compassion within themselves, even those people with endless amounts of genuine support and love can still feel lonely, can still feel sad, can still feel empty. So whilst you should keep your head up and know that there is someone out there for you, someone who is understanding, there are people who do relate, there are people who do care. The important thing is making sure you care about yourself and knowing that at the end of the day, no matter what the outside world thinks, knowing that you're content and happy within yourself, that each and every day you know you try to be the best person you can be. And with those efforts and stride to become the better version of yourself, you will inevitably attract people who can relate to you, people who care about you, good people. Life can seem so torturous, but in the end, everything will be okay. As for Ballister and his lover Ambrosius, they're back together. The land is rebuilding itself, opening itself up to the outer worlds that they've been locked away from for 1,000 years. Ballister still yearns for and misses Nimona, a friend that he'll truly never forget. But don't you worry, Nimona hasn't gone anywhere, because when he goes home, sad because of the fact he misses Nimona so much, oh, what you know, she's right bloody there. Of course we don't see her, so I'm guessing this is like a tease for the second movie. Please be a second movie, I'm begging you. I need more. This movie, fantastic, glorious, spectacular. I can't say enough good about it. I absolutely loved it, and I think it was truly a masterpiece of cinema. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.